How many times did Jesus cleanse the temple? Now, there are 4 places in the Gospels where it talks about Jesus' cleansing of the temple, but one of them is not like the others, which has created the oft-asked question, how many times did Jesus cleanse the temple? Did Jesus only cleanse the temple once or twice? One of the accounts takes place at the beginning of his ministry, and the other 3 accounts take place at the end of his ministry right before the crucifixion. So let's dig into the Bible together and read about it.
I promise that as you ponder what you study, the windows of heaven will open, and you will receive answers to your own questions.
The first account of the cleansing is recorded in the book of John and is couched in between events that happen at the very beginning of his ministry. Right after turning water to wine, Jesus then goes with his disciples to Jerusalem, and this is where the first cleansing takes place. In John 2 we read, "What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this he went down to Capernaum with his mother and brothers and his disciples, where they stayed for a few days. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the temple courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves he said, 'Get these out of here! Stop turning my Father's house into a market.' His disciples remembered that it is written, 'Zeal for your house will consume me.' And the Jews then responded to him, 'What sign can you show us to prove your authority to do all this?' Jesus answered them, 'Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days.' They replied, 'It has taken us 46 years to build this temple, and you are going to raise it in 3 days?' But the temple he had spoken of was his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples recalled what he had said. Then they believed the scripture and the words that Jesus had spoken. Now while he was in Jerusalem at the Passover festival, many people saw the signs he was performing and believed in his name." All right, so that's the first account. The second cleansing takes place in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the other Gospels. In Matthew 21 we read, "When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, 'Who is this?' The crowds answered, 'This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee.' Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. 'It is written,' he said to them, 'My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers.'" Now notice in this account that he overturned the money changers' tables and he released the doves, but he did not bring a whip and release the sheep and the cattle, like in the account that we read in John. In Mark 11, it says, "On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, 'Is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations? But you have made it a den of robbers.'" Now this account closely aligns with the Matthew account. And similarly, he overturns the money changers' tables and he releases the doves, but there's no mention of a whip, sheep, or cattle. Lastly, in Luke 19 we read, "When Jesus entered the temple courts, he began to drive out those who were selling. 'It is written,' he said to them, 'My house will be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers.' Every day he was teaching at the temple. But the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the leaders among the people were trying to kill him. Yet they could not find any way to do it, because all the people hung on his words." Now, some believe that the account in John is actually describing the exact same account that we find in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. However, there are distinctive differences between them, the one being couched explicitly at the beginning of his ministry, and the others right before the end, after the triumphal entry into Jerusalem and right before he experiences the Last Supper with his apostles, spends his time in the Garden of Gethsemane, and then is taken and bound and then crucified. So what do you think? Did Jesus only cleanse the temple once, or did he do it twice? Once at the beginning of his ministry and once at the end of it? I look forward to hearing your comments. If you like what you're learning and seeing, you may be interested in a longer episode that we've produced called "What are the Differences Between the Bible and the Book of Mormon?" Check it out.